commonly recommended guideline for the phrasing of rules is that they be specifically worded. But might there be times when we think outside the box, so to speak, when less specificity in the rules would get kids to think about whether their behavior is appropriate or not? Can we get into character development and the building of a moral code? Let's take a look at this code of conduct, what it might look like. And we have there some guiding points of light. Safety. Have the kids ask themselves, gee, are my actions right now safe for myself or others? We might ask the youngster if the behavior shown at that moment was showing consideration for oneself or others. Honesty. Do my words and actions meet the expectations to take care of myself, to be a dependable member of a group? Am I being courageous? Am I resisting negative peer pressure or directions that I know might harm others? Am I doing the right thing morally and ethically speaking? Also, are my actions courteous? Am I helping to make our classroom, our facility, a positive learning climate where people feel both accepted and valued? Do my actions allow others to do their work and go about their duties without interruption? Might be appropriate for older kids. Get them to think and apply certain life principles, something they can take with them when they leave school. They reflect on their actions as related to societal ideals. It allows us to teach values in a non-structured, spontaneous, situational manner. Some teachers package their rules in a theme format. What are your thoughts regarding this following example that was in a state organizational newsletter? This person said, in my school we have the horse school house rules. No horsing around. Be mature, don't act like a colt. Trot on the track, not in the hallways. Bridle your mouth while the trainer is instructing. Braid your mane at home, don't be a show horse. Munch on your hay with your mouth closed. Saddle up your manners and step into the stirrups of learning. Well, you'll have to decide whether that theme might be appropriate or not for your youngsters. Personally, it would not have fit well into the classrooms of the youngsters with whom I've had my experiences. We'll have an activity related to that when we convene in our class. Another example has to do with a car theme. You see there, keep your eyes on the road, which means do your own work. Buckle your seatbelt, which means stay in your seat. Signal to turn. You raise your hand to speak. Stay alert. Listen while others speak. Stay in your lane, meaning keep hands, feet, and objects to yourself. Be a courteous driver, referring to speaking kindly and encouraging others. And control your speed and direction. Use appropriate language and gestures. For whom might this theme be appropriate? Maybe kids who are 15 or 16 years old and looking forward to getting the independence of driving the family car. What theme might be enticing and motivating for the youngsters you teach? Consider your rules. How might they be phrased in that theme? Most experts in the field of behavior management recommend that rules be posted. Why? Well, first of all, it serves as an ongoing reminder as kids periodically scan the room. Their eyes fall onto the chart and they review on their own. It also allows us to promote self-control by saying, what should you be doing right now? And gesturing toward the poster. Certainly older kids might resent this posting, so how do we handle things? Maybe we hand out a copy of the rules, discuss them, maybe have the kids sign on to them. Something along the lines of this legalistic wording. I agree to said words and view them as reasonable. I will abide by them. In return, I expect to be treated with respect and be recognized for adherence to said conditions. Other influences on rules? Maybe some differences by age group? Be nice, becoming respect others. For older kids, smoke in designated area and keep street language on the street would be one we probably wouldn't see with the younger kids. But as for our younger kids and non-readers and kids who are second language learners, what if they can't read the rules that are up there on the chart? Right. Pictures, photographs of kids engaging in that behavior, iconic images that translate the words. Mendler, of the Kirwan and Mendler team, who wrote the important book in our field, Discipline with Dignity, surveyed kids, and he asked them, if you could impose a rule on your teachers, what would be the number one rule that would be applied to your instructor? Got a guess? No yelling. Wow, what does that tell us about how kids perceive teachers? How might we rephrase no yelling into a positive? What would the kids like to see? What would they respond to? If you could require your professors to abide by any one rule, what would it be? Let's move now to the second component of the four-component behavior management system. If a student fails to comply with expectations, what's needed? Negative consequences. When a student's behavior does not match stated expectations, the rules, the regulations, the routines, the directions, negative consequences for those actions are often deemed necessary. And punishment can be effective in promoting behavior change, but to gain this outcome, it has to be administered in a well-informed, thoughtful manner. Unfortunately, not as commonly occurring in the schools as we would like. But typically, these negative consequences are presented in what form? Yes, as a list of recommendations, with each successive response becoming more punitive than the previous one. Usually there's an official warning first, saying to a youngster, this is your warning. But how does that word warning strike you? Sounds a bit condescending and coercive, perhaps? How about reminder as a less controlling alternative? Or self-check and gesturing up toward the posted rules to help the youngster avoid outer interventions by reining oneself in on a self-check. There's a whole lot of things that we could do and should do before we issue that warning, reminder, or self-check. Distract the youngster back onto task, offer help, clear one's throat, give a one-word utterance, and have the kid figure out what should be done right now. We try to intervene in more subtle ways before the first objective intervention, the warning, the self-check, the reminder. Despite what we know from research and from practice, that positivity is the best way to change behavior, too many teachers make punishment the main ingredient in their behavior management stew. I mean, certainly my mother, when she was making stew, used a spoonful or two of vinegar to add a taste. Vinegar's nice until you get too much of it. We'll be talking extensively in a future podcast about the perils of punishment. But when we really get upset with a youngster and we just want to zing that kid with some punishment, it's helpful to remember that old Hebrew proverb that I think is still said by old Hebrews. If we could read the secret history of those we'd like to punish, we'd find in each life enough grief and suffering to make us stop wishing anything more upon them. Many of our kids have had rotten childhoods, inadequate training at home. We don't want to punish the victim. And now, as we move through our list of sequentially more punitive consequences, we can handle these progressions or perhaps regressions in different ways. We can give directions. You need to sit down now to keep all of your recess. We avoid the double negative. If you don't sit down, you're not going to recess. State the behavior you do want to see and the benefit that follows. You need to sit down now to keep all of your recess. We can offer a choice. Do you choose to sit or do you choose to lose 10 minutes of recess? Not really a choice. To many of our kids, it's almost a challenge. Perhaps a question is better. What should you be doing right now? Putting the onus back onto the youngster. In the upcoming third segment of this podcast regarding the development and implementation of a comprehensive classroom management system, we'll be talking about the three types of consequences. Then we'll start moving into positivity.